modern interrogation techniques involve the gaining of trust and isolation of the suspect. And essentially what is done is suspect is either detained or brought in for questioning or is already under arrest and isolated from other members of the jail population, any other suspects, separated into other rooms, and then a series of exercises meant to gain the trust and also at the same time overpower the mindset of the suspect by building a series of suggestions that the evidence is overwhelming, the other people already confessed, they're pointing the finger at you, the DNA evidence shows, we have video or photographic evidence, etc., etc. And it's through these tactics that even a normal person might be overcome by the psychological power of suggestion and, of course, the very strong psychological impact that isolation and extremely persuasive and to some degree oppressive suggestion have from a person in a position of authority, such that a suspect can knowingly, intentionally waive their constitutional rights and sign a confession that was essentially suggested by the interrogating law enforcement officer. And even more important and more critical is that for those members of our citizenry who suffer from mental disorders and mental disabilities, these powers of suggestion need to be guarded against because they are extremely influential on the young and those with drug or alcohol addictions. In other words, they've got one of those invisible injuries that could limit their ability to think coherently, rationally, and make thoughtful and intelligent conclusions based on, and even confessions based on what the law enforcement officer is telling them or presenting to them. And of course, those who are mentally disabled, who are below the average intelligence level and who struggle with those types of, it's a struggle for any normal person, much less somebody who has less than full faculties. So these are things we need to guard against, and I think it's important to bring them to the forefront of people's attention, not just in sensationalist television shows or the occasional court case that might get some press, but it's something that just needs to be revisited from time to time. And because it's important, because it can affect everyone, because it can affect a teenager that you may know, that you may be related to, that you may be the parent of, aunt, uncle, what have you, cousin. And the fact of the matter is that juveniles aren't typically charged as adults because they don't have the mental capacity of adults. On that same flip side, they don't have the mental capacity of adults, and they can be coerced into giving confessions because they are mentally vulnerable. They don't have the snap and the defenses that a full-grown adult has. So we got to be on guard about these things. We need to talk about them. We need to be aware of them.